they filmed that sequence the day Elvis died.
Holy crap.
That's weird, right?
You heard it here, folks. Grease killed Elvis.
What do you know about two certified bangers? PhantasmaCast.
Welcome back to PhantasmaCast, where we watch our favorite movies 2 at a time, and you should too. I'm Jake.
And I'm Derek.
Today's double feature is 1978's Grease and 1990's Cry Baby.
A baby, cry.
Today we're turning back the clock to the Eisenhower years, an era defined by post-war exuberance, rock and roll, and the rise of the American teenager. That's right, we're watching two musicals that focus on American teen life of the 50s, albeit in wildly different ways.
So wildly different. Yep.
Before we get started, though, I want to remind you that the best way to listen to new episodes as they release is to subscribe to PhantasmaCast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, and catch us on Instagram or TikTok by looking up PhantasmaCast or at Two Certified Bangers. Now, on with the show. We're going to start with Grease, because Grease came out first.
Yep.
Grease is a movie that I watched a lot as a kid.
Oh.
Maybe not watched a lot, but it was on a lot.
Yeah. I did both.
Yeah.
On a lot, watched it all the time too.
I think my mom just really liked Olivia Newton-John and John
Yeah.
Travolta for that matter. So it would, like, anytime it was on TV, she had it on and it was playing. And like, I think a musical's good for kids because even if you're not following the plot, you can still kind of enjoy the music. And the music is fantastic in this movie.
Yeah, I think the first half is much stronger music-wise than the second half, but it's still, really good. It's, like you said, like you're either watching it for Olivia Newton-John, John Travolta, or both. So that's like a really strong point of the movie, is you have two great leads to attach yourself to like really invest in.
Yeah. And it's also kind of weird, like for B specifically, because like I think the biggest or my most watched John Travolta movie when I was a kid was Look Who's Talking.
Okay.
You know? So like it kind of turns back the clock a little bit and you see John Travolta like a lot younger. And so when you're a kid, you don't understand those things. But Brittany, we were watching it again last night, and she goes, this is kind of raunchy for a kid's movie. And I was like, it's not a kid's movie. And she's like, you fucking kidding me? It's like kids watch this movie. And I realized, okay, I was a kid and I watched this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was probably pitched as a teen movie that like maybe kids snuck into to be cool or watched because like, oh, this is what the teens are into.
It's rated PG, so like,
that's wild. No.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. You're lying.
But you know, and it's something that even in the commentary track, the director Randall Kleiser, he goes on to say, he's like, you know, people in a lot of different cultures at all ages love this movie. Yeah. He says because it reflects a more simpler time, you know, but I think it's pretty apt. Like no matter how old you are, there's something to enjoy about this movie. Whether it's the plot, whether you understand it or not, you know, or that, well, you know, he said when he showed the movie at AFI, he took it and screened it at AFI and did a Q&A with the students there.
Cool. This is like 77, 78.
At some point before after the movie. No, okay. At some point after the movie had come out. Got it. The first thing he asked all the students was, that movie plays a lot differently now than when you were kids, right? Oh. You know? Okay. And, you know, as I'm watching the movie, like, there are things that kind of stood out, and I was like, wow, that's, like, really sexual for something that kids are watching.
Greased Lightning? Are you kidding me? Like, I can't believe they, like, that I'm not arguing in favor of the censorship board, obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're saying like tit, cream.
There is a scene where two kids are out on Lover's Lane and they're like gonna fuck, but the condom that he's had since he bought it in 7th grade, like broke. You know?
But they don't show it. There's no close up. It's just like, hey, my insurance policy. And as an adult, you know.
Yeah.
But as a kid, you're like, I don't know what he's like. What, a mint?
Yeah. This is probably like the boring part of the movie that you kind of tune out when you're a kid. You're like, oh, they like grown-ups are talking.
Yeah. You tune back in when that guy rams his car into him, and he's like, I'll give you 75 cents for your car and your chick.
But that's like a really important thing. I think it's like you can have these adult themes and these adult conversations in movies, and like it doesn't like really matter unless it's overtly graphic, because the kids aren't going to understand it or give a shit about it anyways. They're gonna gloss over it and look at the shiny stuff.
Yeah, like it didn't scar me. It didn't make me want to go out and like smoke cigarettes or get pregnant. Okay, one of those I had a choice about. But like there's also like the dirtier stuff. Like that was just kind of like more mature stuff. But then there's like straight up dirty stuff, like the host for the American Bandstand, like hitting on this teenager.
Yeah,
I mean, like, hey, what's your name? Like, oh, let me schmooze you. And then they're like, Vince, whatever. Yeah. I have to say his name like 3 times. He's like, oh fuck yeah, I have a job.
Is it Vince Fontaine?
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
In that scene, she I don't know if you noticed it, but like there is a camera between them.
Yeah.
And she like puts her hand on the lens.
Yeah. Like the cherry.
Yeah.
Maraschino.
But again, like stuff that like kids are not looking for or even noticing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A little bit of history about Grease, the film. It was directed by Randall Kleiser in 1978, but it began as Grease, the musical, originally written by Jim Jacobs and Warren Casey in 1971. Based largely on Jacobs' experiences growing up in suburban Chicago.
That's right. Yeah, it wasn't because the film was a California joint.
I don't know if it was supposed to be set in California, but it was 100% filmed in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And it shows.
Yeah. They talk about going to the beach and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But as the show gained popularity, it graduated to off-Broadway and then eventually made its way to Broadway. The original cast of the Broadway production had Barry Bostwick as Danny.
Oh, cool.
Barry Bostwick of Rocky Horror fame.
Yeah.
And Adrian Barbeau as Rizzo.
Damn. Okay. That
Right?
would have been really good. Really good. Have you ever seen the musical?
No.
I have.
I hear it's even raunchier than the movie.
Ooh. Well, I was still a kid.
Okay.
When I watched it. So maybe that kind of like went over my head, and I was very much like I was flirting with being a theater kid at this time. And we had like a school trip to New York, and it was showing there, and somehow our school like managed to get tickets for like a class of kids to go see it. And I don't know, I just had a good time. I thought it was a good performance.
I think by the time it got to Broadway, because every time it kind of changed venues, so to speak, the production was updated. So I think they did kind of take out more and more of the raunchy stuff, like in every iteration.
Okay,
of the
like
show.
kind of sands down the little rough edges.
Yeah. Because like let's be real, part of this show deals with teen pregnancy.
Yeah.
You've got these kids who are like the greasers are they're kind of representative of the Italian kids, right, mixing in with like the more waspy kids.
Yeah. If we think about it from a Chicago point of view,
right. Yeah. And you've got like gang culture, like all of the ingredients of the show make for like much heavier subject matter than the tone is presented in the movie. You know what I mean? The movie's bright and shiny, and you know, like everyone said, like the T-Birds are no jets. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was just gonna say it's very West Side Story, but not as much dancing. It's more rock and roll.
Yeah.
West Side Story.
Yeah. But the show becomes pretty popular. Producer Alan Carr options the film rights and then gets together with Robert Stigwood, the other producer on the film. And he knew that John Travolta had a 3-picture deal with Paramount.
Okay.
One of them was Saturday Night Fever.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so, you know, they partnered together and they turned Grease into the film if they could get Travolta to play Danny Zuko, the main character. Funny thing is, Travolta did play in Grease, in a production of Grease, as hold on.
Was he like his friend Kinnicky?
He played Duty, I think.
Duty. Is it like
So there's Danny, and then there's Kinnicky, and then the 3 other guys.
Okay.
And Duty's one of the 3 other guys.
Okay.
And then funny enough, Jeff Conway, who plays Kinnicky, played Danny Zuko in one of the productions of Grease.
That's so. I mean, my opinion of it is completely tainted by the movie. I just can't see it.
Right.
I just can't see it that way.
Right.
I see them as them, and I see them like doing that awkward embrace where he's like, "Hey, I'm going to the Thunder Road thing," you know. And then
Want you to be my driver?
you want me to drive with you? Yeah. And they accidentally hug and all right, cool.
They both pull out their combs. In the commentary, they talk a lot about how there was skepticism for if Travolta, who had played kind of I don't know, like kind of good boy parts in the past, could like be the bad boy Danny Zuko.
Okay.
But I think he brings like a swagger to Danny Zuko that really works, right? And he can also he can bring that like good boy out in the performance too when he's trying to like work with Sandy, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think it works because he's so sincere as being in love with Sandy that his like facade as Danny Zuko for the T-Birds is so an act. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of cool. Like as a kid, you're like, oh, he's cool. As an adult, you're like, oh, he's just putting on a show for his buddies.
Yeah. Because
he really wants to grow up and be the man for Sandy. So like at the end, right, when he's in like the Letterman thing,
yeah,
they're like, they're still risen him over. He's like, hey, whatever. He's like, we're not just gonna do this all our lives, right? Totally sincere, 100%. I believe that.
Yeah,
he sells that.
What's Grease about?
I kind of just touched on it a little bit. I
kind of just told you.
Yeah, of like, I'll repeat myself. No, just it's like what is cool is not really just being one of the boys and shooting the shit and stuff. It's about young love, really, and putting aside all these like notions of like what it is to be cool, like everything you think is important when you're young is so very unimportant, and a lot of these ideals that you have as a kid are so easily washed away when something like important happens in your life, like when you break someone's heart or you hurt their feelings, like for real, and not just kidding around with them and being like, hey, shut up, we're going to the drive-in or whatever. Like yeah, sure, Danny wants to get laid,
yeah,
too, but like when Sandy like leaves him, or says like, hey, Danny, you broke my heart, he doesn't just go, whatever, she's just a girl. He like sings his heart out, and he's like, damn, that stings actually.
Yeah, he doesn't just write her off like he did with Rizzo. right?
Yeah. Or that other older woman.
Cha-Cha.
Cha-Cha. Yeah. Friend of the family.
So Danny and Sandy have a brief romance over the summer while Danny is hanging out at the beach. You know? School year starts, they're reunited, and then they're sort of confronted by each other's, real personalities, quote unquote, right? Yeah. Danny's not normally the hopeless romantic Sandy met on the beach over the summer, right? He's a tough, cool greaser, and he's got to hide his enthusiasm for Sandy from his gang. Like there's that scene when the pink ladies, they're like, hey Danny, we got something for you, and they push her, and he goes, Sandy,
Yeah, I love that.
and then the rest of the T-Birds, they like come around him and they're like,
yo, bro, you like this girl?
Yeah. What the fuck is this? You're not supposed to respect them. So, at the same time, Sandy's taken in by the pink ladies, who are the sort of like other side of the coin to the T-Birds, right? They're not. I didn't get the sense that they're like the bad girls of Ride Owl High, but they're not the bad girls of Ride Owl High. You know what I mean?
They're just not like the Patty Wilcoxes or the Patty Simcox. Mm-hmm. They're not them.
They do go with boys though.
Yeah. Oh boy, do they.
That said, I think John Travolta does a really good job playing the two sides of Danny Zuko, right? There are the scenes when he's kind of putting on an act for his guys, the kind of like womanizing cool guy aspect. But then when he gets alone with her, that's when he can kind of be who he really is, with Sandy. There's a really good scene. I think it's the first time we go to the malt shop.
Yeah.
And
where he apologizes.
Yeah, like she's there with the jock guy, and then she goes to the jukebox, and she's pretending to not care that Danny's there, and Danny's walking in, and the valedictorian chick is like, "Call me, Danny,"
Yeah, she puts her arms around him. He's like, "Get off, Patty." Yeah,
and the affectations that he has in that scene are like totally different from what you see from Danny the rest of the movie. He's kind of nervous, really.
Yeah, he's got to like sneak up to her. He can't just like barge up, pop his collar, and be like, "Yo, it's Danny Zuko, rocking and rolling and whatnot."
Yeah, he's like, she's special to him. He's got more to lose, so he's being more careful with her. You know. I think you had a lot nicer way of putting this. I think you might actually disagree with me, but I wrote, I think at the end of the day, this is a movie that is pro-conformity. No. It's about changing who you are to be with the people you think you love. Danny is a 2-pack a day greaser, right? But he ends up lettering in track. Right. In like a really funny sequence too, because he decides
picking a sport montage.
Yeah. He wants to change for Sandy. So he goes to the coach and he's like, "Hey coach, like, I'm here to change."
Yeah, show me. Yeah. He's like, "All right, yeah, let's change." He's like, "Yeah, that's what I'm here to do." "No, you're close."
Yeah. He's like, "Oh." I saw in the commentary. So Danny, when they're going through all these different like sports, it's scripted. He's just supposed to be bad at them.
Okay.
But how it plays out, which I think is much like better character work. Apparently Joel Thurm, who's the casting director, came up with the idea that instead of just being bad at these things, Danny would fight back using greaser techniques.
Yeah.
So like he takes the ball and he's like, "Yo, yeah."
You want some of this smoke? Yeah. It takes cheap shots during wrestling and
and then on the other side, Sandy goes and gets a full-on greaser makeover.
Yeah. Only at the very end.
At the very end of the movie, when she finally decides, like, "No, I'm going to give this guy a chance,"
Yeah. Which I I think it's also that's a dual purpose motive on Sandy's part, is because she also wants to like be friends with Frenchie too.
Yeah.
Who went through like this whole ordeal of dropping out of high school, going to beauty school, and then like being bad at that too and having to come back to high school. She's like, okay, Frenchie needs me as a friend too. Like, why don't you like give me a makeover, Frenchie? Because she knows that that's something that she would enjoy doing. And she like lights up. She's like, I would love to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's a little bit more than just like conformity is the way, though it's a totally valid reading of it. Because then you also have Danny saying, like I said, when he's like wearing the Letterman jacket, he's like,
Yeah.
I mean, like we got to grow up, right? We can't just be lifelong greasers. We're not going to be at this school forever. Like this is just how we get through this part of our life, but we're going to change. And more than just clothes.
and then other characters, right? This is why, we have our main, Danny and Sandy, and then our kind of secondary couple, which is Kaneki and Rizzo, right? And they're kind of going through. Rizzo thinks she gets pregnant from that incident in Lover's Lane, right? And
yeah, they're real hot and cold with each other.
Yeah, and speaking of that, they're kind of like the de facto free spirits of the movie, right? And Kaneki, like, he warms up Rizzo's cold heart at the end of the movie, and he's like, I'm gonna make an honest woman out of you or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and she's like, if this is a line, I ain't riding.
Yeah.
He's like, no, it's a genuine offer.
And so those two people kind of change who they are or their outlook, right, to kind of be together. And I don't know if this is like a positive or a negative thing, about this movie, but as we learned from Larry in the last episode, love is about compromise.
It's about compromise. Dan.
So
Nizuko. No.
While I think like it sounds bigger than it is to say this movie's about pro-conformity, but it is about two people kind of realizing they need to become a little bit of each other if they want to be together.
Changing just a little bit about yourself. Like, hey, like, don't pretend to like disrespect me just to like be friends with your friends. Like, actually respect me.
Yeah.
And like Danny like needs to have like some kind of goal in life other than just be looking cool and hanging out with his boys. And that's what he kind of gets from track is like, it's something. It's a start.
Yeah.
It's better than just being a burnout.
It's a true genuine change rather than like when they're at the drive-in. Danny kind of, he's like, oh, okay, maybe a technique I could use is to like give her my ring and then she'll put out, Yeah. Lettering and track is more of a change he's making about himself rather than like performing, devotion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
This movie, I said it before, it's about looking back to a simpler time, right?
Yeah.
It's a film made in the 70s looking back on the mid 50s. And I think that's important to note for two reasons. One, although Grease is decidedly 50s and its aesthetic, the music has a poppy disco feel to it.
Yeah.
Rather than like a more of a rock and roll kind of feel. Although it does have those songs, for the most part, I think it, like the opening song was originally supposed to be something from Jim Jacobs, who had, written the music in the original show. But producer Robert Stigwood was managing Barry Gibb of the Bee Gees at the time.
Okay.
So he was given the opportunity to write a new opening song for the show, and it was recorded by Frankie Valli.
Oh boy, was it!
and so it's a bit too 70s disco to set the tone for a film that's supposed to be in the 50s for my liking. I think that was the first time I was watching the movie and I was really trying to listen to the music and I was like, man, this is so disco. This is not like 50s at all feeling,
Yeah. It's a damn shame it bangs.
I mean, and that's not to say it's bad, right?
A little anachronistic, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the director also was just like, I don't know about this, man. Hopelessly Devoted to You is a pop ballad, you know, which Kleiser admits he had a hard time actually placing in the movie. And that's why she's kind of off alone. And they said they had built that set where she's like in the backyard. They had built it in a day because he was up against the clock and was like, all right, we'll just have her like go in the backyard and sing.
Yeah. I actually love those moments about Grease where you can feel that, like, all right, this was kind of thrown together, but I still like that quality of it. I love when they just like 11th hour ideas. The pool in that scene. I remember going, why the fuck is this little kiddie pool? It's just like sitting here. And Classy was like, well, I needed something to tie back to Danny. And so and she throws the letter into the water and she sees his reflection, and you know. Yeah. Which my mind is like, oh, that's a Lion King thing, which came out in the 90s. She's having a remember who you are.
But you know, like even that, like just kind of comes out of like Stigwood wanted Olivia Newton-John to have a single for the soundtrack, you know, and so that's why it is staged the way that it is.
Yeah, some of those producer-brained ideas can be good because that's absolutely a song that, like, you know, I know my mom loves. I know Mickey loves. Mickey's mom.
Yeah, and it gives Olivia Newton-John a chance to kind of like shine on her own, you know?
Yeah. I will say, okay, let me back it up a little bit. I love that song too. I love Hopelessly Devoted to You also.
It's not just for girls.
Yeah, exactly.
The second reason, Grease was created by people who were looking back on the 50s through rose-colored glasses. By the late 70s, as we've talked about on the show before, we had seen the Vietnam War, civil rights movement, second wave feminism, the deterioration of the so-called nuclear family. These are people who in the commentary track called the 50s a simpler time, which is a notion spoken with such a level of privilege that it's almost cringy, you know, like, the 50s were not super fun times for non-WASPy minorities. You know what I mean? Like, and they're also decidedly absent from representation in the film.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. They're just gone. It is very much not about the politics of the time. It is just about these teenage problems, and that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a representation of the 50s given to us by people who watched and loved teen films of the 1950s, right? And the 50s itself saw, you know, what I call like the rise of American teen culture, which was reflected in the movies of the age, right? And Rebel Without a Cause is a prime example of that. It's the kind of first time in like in film chronology where teenagers are given the space to experience their angst, right? But also the 50s teen years were special in that, you know, a lot of the kind of socio-political landscape gave them the ability to have the
like an avenue to vent those frustrations.
Not that. Yes, but what I'm talking about is like the independence, right?
Oh, okay.
They could go out and have their own kind of lives with other teenagers, you know.
Because
And
World War II's over and we won.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
Top of the world.
It is a time of it's like it's an economic boom. Suburbia is on the rise, right? And so you have these spaces that are carved out for teenagers specifically, where they never had been before. You know, Roger Ebert says the film recreates.
Let's
I know. I tried to find a Pauline Kael one too, but I couldn't.
Damn. Okay.
Roger Ebert says the film recreates a 1950s that exists mostly in idyllic memory. And Vincent Canby of the New York Times says Grease is not really the 1950s teenage movie musical it thinks it is, but a contemporary fantasy about a 1950s teenage musical, a larger, funnier, wittier, and more imaginative than Hollywood movie with a life that is all its own. So in other words, you know, as Pulp Fiction is to like the exploitation crime films of the 70s, so is Grease to teen problem films of the 50s.
Yeah. Where teens were the problem. They had problems and they were the problem.
Yeah. So, you know, it's just a biased recreation with the 1970s glit to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That said, I do love this movie.
Same.
I do recognize its problem in presenting the 50s as, you know, this kind of golden age. It was for those people. But it also is just a fun time, you know?
And I think that's its goal from the outset, is just to be a fun time.
Yeah.
And not to like try to bring anyone down with the reality of everything, because we all know this. The reality of everything usually sucks. And it's a huge bummer.
Yeah.
So let's not damper the fun time with too much reality. It's pure escapism.
Yeah. And speaking of escapism, you know, the last thing I want to touch on is, you know, the songs and the staging are fantastic in this movie. I think it was a good idea that the commentary track featured Randall Kleiser, who's the director, and Patricia Birch, who was the choreographer of the film.
Okay.
She was also a choreographer for at least one of the productions of the Broadway show as well.
Okay.
But you know, when you watch the movie, there is so much background business happening. Yeah. Every single background character, background dancer, is playing the character that they are in the film. Right. And that's like, they said it in the commentary, but I noticed it before they even mentioned it. 'Cause like, even someone like way off in the background is doing 100%, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's says a lot to Patricia Birch's work on the movie, right? She wanted the movie to have movement constantly, because she knew that you couldn't just take a stage play and film it, right? You needed to have it work within the frame of a movie. And then she worked really well with the director of photography of the movie as well to kind of mix the movement with the camera work. And if you go back and you rewatch the musical numbers, it like, she says he meaning Bill Butler, the DP, rarely ever missed action.
Okay.
which means she like he
That's
framed it really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. She said she would get really annoyed with him because as she would be working with the dancers, he'd come up to her with a frame and place it in front of her face, and she finally was like, "What the hell are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm trying to
make my job harder."
Yeah, I'm trying to frame what you're looking at. You know, which is that's cool. You know, like he's like, I want to capture what you are trying to do, so I'm literally gonna put a frame up and see what you're looking at. You know,
she did the "What are you showing me here?"
Yeah. Patricia Birch says that there are a number of Paramount numbers in the movie.
Okay.
And I didn't know what that meant, but it's referencing the musical era where they would have these kind of surrealistic, out of the reality of the film musical numbers.
Okay.
And you have a number of those in this movie, right? I think the biggest one is the Grease Lightning one. So they're working on the car and she says too, like this movie does a really good job of transitioning into the numbers, because they're having a conversation, and then there's a musical cue, and then boom, we're in it, you know.
Yeah.
It's very natural.
I think it's something as simple as he was like, well, this is going to be hydromatic, systematic, wow, it's grease lightning. And I probably messed up the order of that, and I'm going to acknowledge it, so you can't yell at me, because I'm pretty sure I messed it up. But I love the way he throws the jacket, and it just lands on the top of the like a cabinet in the background or something like that. I love those little details about it. But yeah, no, that's it. Like transitions to a soundstage, and everyone's in like these nice, clean, sleek little jumpsuits and everything now. And then dun 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 dun, and we're in it. And I love that Paramount number.
Yeah,
I never heard that until now. I love that.
And then the car that they're building looks so much better than the one that we come back to.
Yeah. And then we get it right at the end, the one that they drive off into the sky with.
So, you know, there's a handful of, and I think I want to talk about this when we talk about Crybaby, but which I don't think has any Paramount numbers. That's a movie that's set in the reality of the movie, but it itself is a very absurd movie anyways.
Yeah. I love the way John Waters talks about why he did what he did, though. So we'll get to that.
But you know, there's a handful of those scenes in the movie. You get it again with Beauty School Dropout, and she kind of is fantasizing about who was that?
Frankie Avalon.
Frankie Avalon. Yeah. It's really funny. She said that Dee Dee, what's her last name? Dee Dee Khan, who plays Frenchie.
Okay.
Was like, I was working with my acting coach to figure out how to be just amazed by this man, you know? And she's like, but when you've got Frankie Avalon singing at you right in your face, that's all real.
There's no imagining. It's just,
all of the musical numbers are fantastic. Like you watch it, like every background dancer is 110%. That the ending sequence is fantastic when they're going through the fair, the festival, carnival thing.
Yeah. Wait, are you talking about like You're the One That I Want, or the shoobity shoob bop bang bang?
We Stay Together, I think is the song.
Yeah.
That one. Okay. But they shot the high school dance sequence in 5 days, which is insane to me.
That is insane, because there is so much movement going on. I was thinking about that whole number when you were talking about the choreographer working closely with the DP, and I was like, yeah, that must have been a nightmare to be on the same page.
Yeah.
And get all that footage and keep it under budget.
Yeah.
Because like the hand jive, they make the hand jive look kind of cool. Dare I say, kind of cool. Yeah. It's the dorkiest shit ever. Everyone's like sticking their ass out. They're all like at this like 45-degree angle, just they look
like they're on crack, you know?
Yeah. But I love the shot of everyone like on the bleachers.
Yeah,
doing it, and then the camera's panning over to the right. Good movement.
There's a great portion of it. Patricia Birch calls them crossovers, where the camera's moving in one direction, right? And then she really wanted to introduce the fact, because it's a dance competition, right?
Right.
She wanted to introduce what she calls how all the different dances had their own souls.
Nice.
You know,
we need people that think like this,
right?
To choreograph stuff.
So we're coming across and we're following one pair, and they're dancing a certain way, right? Yeah. And then you've got another crossover of another pair, and so as they cross over this one, the camera now follows them.
Yeah.
You know?
I think I'm thinking of the shot that you're describing, and it's like, I think it starts with like Kinnicky And he's like, yeah, get that girl in the red and toss her out or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we move through like Danny and Sandy, and then like some of the background greasers and the pink ladies like just dart across the screen. But they get enough screen time where we get a sense of like where they're at and what they're doing. And stuff.
And they're all and then like they got the direction down pat because they're all trying to win this competition. So they're all doing something different, and unique to who they are. So I just wanted to call out that sequence, which I think, you know, it's I don't think it's the musical wise something to call out necessarily, but as far as the choreography is concerned, I think what a fantastic job they did of like telling of giving you a little bit more about the characters, right? But to take us out, what's your favorite Grease song?
Okay. It's a 4-way tie. I'm cheating. I'm cheating. I'm telling you right now, it's a 4-way tie. We got Grease Lightning.
Okay.
We got Summer Nights. We got Look at Me, I'm Sandra Dee. And You're the One That I Want.
Yeah.
Those are the ones.
Those are the standouts.
As soon as I hear the first couple like notes of either of those songs, I go, okay, I'm dropping everything else. I'm doing this.
You're the One That I Want is probably the one that like ignites something primal in me that just makes me go, I'm gonna have a good time. You know,
it's all chorus.
Yeah.
But it's great. I mean, except for like it's electrifying, you know.
Sandra Dee, I love Stockard Channing's bit of business when she like gets up and she does the little like wings over.
Yeah, I love her performance in that song is so good, and I like that we got the Troy Donahue nod because then Troy Donahue is in Crybaby, by the way. But I love because then she's breaking the fourth wall a little bit by like, look, Troy Donahue, I know what you want to do. You know, gets a nice little innuendo jokes at the camera and like the little bit about Elvis. And that was very timely because I think like just the year before or something like that, Elvis had passed away.
No, they filmed that sequence the day Elvis died.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. That was weird, right?
You heard it here, folks. Grease killed Elvis.
But yeah, that's Grease. It's you know, we're talking about two movies that feature like the kind of greaser, you know, stereotype in it. But it is this very kind of, I hesitate to say glamorous, right? But it's got the glitz and glamour treatment to the 50s teen problem film, you know?
Yeah. It's an idealized version of a not ideal time for the people that it depicts.
Yeah.
Or for the people that it doesn't depict, I should say.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure those folks were quite all right.
All right, take us into Crybaby.
Don't mind if I do. I picked up the Kino Lorber release of it, new 4K scan and Blu-ray combo. Shout out to Kino Lorber for doing that. A lot of distributors, like physical media distributors, are kind of cheaping out and doing just 4K, just Blu-ray now. But this is where it's at, the combo pack, because then you have like the Blu-ray that for some reason only does special features. Well, actually not for some reason. Well, because 4K is 4K. So all those 1080p features are going to not scale well.
Yeah.
So that brings me to the transfer, the 4K transfer. So crisp, so goddamn good looking. And definitely in stark comparison to the Blu-ray, which I was watching very briefly. I think I watched like half of it with the audio commentary with John Waters, the director. The director-writer, I should say, for those who aren't familiar. Yes, this is a John Waters picture through and through.
We're big fans.
Big fans, yeah. Go watch our polyester hairspray episode because this is kind of like a nice little follow-up to that because we got Ricky Lake back, which is nice. And I think John Waters even says like some of the, I think he just calls them the hairspray gang dancers are like have like little cameo appearances throughout. But anyways, Crybaby. Brand new HDR Dolby Vision Master of the theatrical cut from a 4K scan of the 35mm original camera negative. That's for all you nerds out there. Now, what it's about. Eisenhower is president. Rock and roll is king. And Wade Crybaby Walker is the baddest hood in his high school. Screen idol Johnny Depp heads up a divine cast as the irresistible bad boy whose amazing ability to shed one single tear drives all the girls wild, especially Allison Vernon Williams, Amy Locane, a rich, beautiful square who finds herself uncontrollably drawn to the dreamy juvenile delinquent in his forbidden world of rockabilly music, fast cars, and faster women. It's the hysterical high-throttle world of 1954 in this outrageous musical comedy from the marvelously maniacal mind of John Waters, Pink Flamingo's Hairspray. They just had to get the little triple alliterative in there. That's the... If you learn anything from this podcast, it's how much the people who write the back of the box blurbs for these love alliteration. But yeah, Crybaby. So this was kind of like Johnny Depp's actual big breakout into film, believe it or not.
Is it his first, like, he's the lead?
Yes.
Okay.
That's really like what cements it, because of course he was famously in A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
And then I think a couple like smaller TV movies, and then blew up big with 21 Jump Street, the show. And that's why he kind of like really gravitated towards this character, because it's like a parody of his like teen idol status.
Yeah.
And John Waters he already had like a reputation as like the Pope of filth at the time. So Johnny Depp had heard about them and obviously respected him and was like, yeah, like, of course I would love to do a John Waters movie.
Yeah.
So then, Crybaby comes across and he's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And weirdly enough, Johnny Depp says in this documentary that's on the special features here, what's it called? It Came from Baltimore is the documentary. In that documentary, Johnny Depp says that he believes that this is the movie that convinced Tim Burton to really give him a chance. And that's how we got Edward Scissorhands.
Okay.
And that's how we got all the Tim Burton, Johnny Depp movies. So if you love those movies, thank your Crybaby. Go find a Crybaby and thank it. But Crybaby, I don't think, unlike Grease, this was not one that was just on TV or really got a lot of play in my household. Just because it's a John Waters movie. It is his like studio movie, quote unquote, but it is still a John Waters movie at the end of the day, where it is
it's not as filthy as some of his other movies, but it still is true blue John Waters.
Yeah. It's got his spirit, it's got his edge, it's got his humor, which is not for everyone, but it is for me. I delight in it so much. I'm like Allison. I think her first like spoken dialogue is, "I'm tired of being good." And I'm like, yeah, yeah, I'm in for this. And it just starts off with so much energy right away too, with that the polio vaccination scene with the title credits. And John Waters says in the audio commentary that he loves that sequence because all the actors get a chance to like flex like who their characters are, like
they're all
through their physicality,
reacting to getting the shot, and everyone has their own little reaction to it. Yeah.
He says it's like vaguely sexual because they're giving it to the needle, or like they're reacting to like getting punctured by the needle.
And then the squares are reacting to the what are the bad kids?
Drapes.
The squares are responding to the drapes, and they're just like, grow up,
Yeah.
Clean up your act.
Wrong side of the tracks, motherfucker. But yeah, being like a 90s kid from Arizona, this is not my life. I don't know anything about this. So when I watched Crybaby, I kind of just put on what I learned about these character types from Grease, because that was the one I was familiar with. And it's just like, oh, look, these are actually kind of like the bad kids, in a way. But I like how the bad kids, the Drapes, are actually framed as just being like kind of goofy and other, but it's really the squares who are the aggressors, are like the true pricks. And that's actually true to life. Every like nicely dressed rich kid is a huge prick. So that's real. I like that. Thank you, John.
That's the whole kind of, thing about their rivalry, right? Is the Drapes are they're just doing their own thing, right? They're just let us, we've got our own thing going on. We're doing our own little dance over here, and then the squares come in and they like literally set fire to all their shit and they fuck up their cars,
Yeah, they're putting like sugar in their gas tank and stuff. Like, damn, dude.
One guy like picks up those two kids and he's just like,
Which is a very John Waters way to frame a fight. And like Iggy Pop is like giving some guy like a nookie. Yeah. Do you know the inspiration behind how John Waters pitched this movie? Like what visually
absolutely
he was drawing from? It's perfect John Waters, I'll tell you that. It's from this like book of photography from like a famous gay photographer who did like really risque like male modeling, like mostly semi-nude but with like a little bit of nude. And he pulls up this book. The Athletic Model Guild is the name of the book.
Okay.
By Bob Miser. And he pulls up the book during this interview and he's like, yeah, I pulled it from here. And it's just a guy like with his dick hanging out. I'm like, how do I phrase this? Let's just go right for it. Dong hanging dong. And like the American Athletic Model Guild is just pasted over it. But it's not censored or anything like that. It's just kind of cleverly hiding most of it. And he's just having like a little laugh. And he's like, yeah, so I took this over to Universal. And I was like, yeah, this is what I want the greaser types, the Drapes to look like. And there's like
so
pictures.
Was he wearing a leather jacket or something?
Yeah, there's like perfectly like clothed pictures.
This is a detail you left out because on my end, what I'm hearing is he just took a naked picture of some dude to the studio and was like, "This, I want to make this."
Yeah, movie. I would have loved for him to have done that and then been like, "Oh, how'd that get in there?" Actually, it's this. No, he's like, "Can you imagine me taking this to the studio?" He's like, I couldn't take this to the studio, so I had to like, selectively like curate some of these pictures. And then he's like, oh, like this one? And it was just like some drape looking guys like rolling craps. But they had like the perfect leather jackets, those like tight blue jeans and everything. And then he's like, and then on the next page, this. And then he flips it around to the camera and they have to blur out the dong. And he's just like, he's just tickled that he's like, I can't believe they gave me money for this. It's like, I used this successfully to pitch the visual look of the Drapes for the movie.
Okay.
And then because it is a musical and he considers this his musical more than Hairspray. He's like, that was a dance movie. It's like, this is my musical.
Yeah. Well reasoned.
Yeah. Like it's so funny because I also consider his Hairspray. I'm like, it's not really a musical, but there are musical numbers. And like part of me wanted to say that Crybaby is also that way, but no. There's musical numbers in here. This is a musical for sure. And I would say the hit rate of the music is higher than Grease. Actually, because they're all pretty much based on real songs or just like updates of songs from that era. Like he said like some lyrics were creatively changed to adhere to the plot more.
That was my take too, is that the music is more authentic to the setting and the tone of the film than the music in Grease.
Mm-hmm. And he said that I forget their names, so terrible research on my part. But in the documentary, when the music like producer was talking, he was like he really respected how on the target. I think is what he said. He's like the music in Hairspray was such like on the mark. It was on the target. That when John asked me to do this, I was like, oh well, he knows what he's talking about. So,
right.
Like of course I'll do it. And he said they ended up writing like 3 songs for the movie, but only like 2 got in. That being King Crybaby, and then the end song of the Hot Rod of the chicken song.
So only 2 of the songs in the movie are original to the movie.
I think so, or at least like from this like producer that they got that they interviewed for the documentary. Mm-hmm. And if there are more, it's so seamlessly like woven into it that I can't tell. Or like the song in the jail about when when he learns over the radio that Allison's like, yeah, I'm back to being with the squares, because like I guess you chose what's her face, that woman
with the huge boobs.
Yeah, Lenora. Because you chose Lenora, like, I'm being with Baldwin in the squares. And then Baldwin's like, yeah, and I can sing better than you ever could, cry baby. And he just goes, ah! Yeah, so that feels like an original song too. But the general plot of the movie, right, for those unfamiliar, is we're introduced to Crybaby and his gang, who I think they're just called like Crybaby and the Crybaby Girls, really. But you could call them the Drapes. I just call them Crybaby and his Drapes. And then the Squares, which are basically just like Allison, her like kind of wannabe boyfriend. I don't think they're actually a pair, but like I think her grandmother is trying to set them up because she's a nice like older square. Mm-hmm. We're trying to raise her granddaughter to be a good square too.
Yeah. And debutante city kind of thing.
Yeah, and they go off to this like what do they call it?
Like he calls it a charm school.
Yeah, like
Crybaby calls it a charm school.
Like a cotillion, like a little manners school. And they have like a little talent show going on. Meanwhile, the Drapes go off and do their own thing, and we which was meet up at this place called like Turkey Point, I believe, and they're gonna throw this jukebox jamboree.
Yeah.
Like just have a party. Basically, they're just there to have a good time, just rocking out. They're just embracing rock and roll, which was kind of different at this time because it's like the early 50s, mm-hmm. right? As opposed to like the later 50s of Greece. So this earlier 50s is more like doo-wop, I guess what we would later know as like rockabilly style music, and not so much rock and roll. Mm-hmm. And it's even, like you said, hard to judge it against Greece because even Greece kind of has the music for the time, but not really. But Crybaby has that style nailed down. And then John Waters says that he even so, like he wanted to be as accurate, like aesthetically as possible. But he admits, okay, like the Drapes at the time were not like heroes by any means. They were out stealing cars and beating up people left and right, and you know, were pretty racist because it was the 50s.
They've got Confederate flags waving. They make a baby crib. That's got a fucking Confederate flag.
Confederate flag pillow. He says he has that, but it's like all broken down. He's like, all the bones fell off or whatever. But he still kept that. And he said, even at the time of release, so 1990, he got notes about it and they're like, are you sure you want the Confederate flag stuff in there? And he's like, well, yeah. He's like, I'm not going to rewrite history. Like, that's just, they had the Confederate flags at that time. The only like revisionist thing that he did was soften their racism. Like they have like black drapes.
Yeah.
And, you know,
and they get carted off in their own paddy wagon.
Yeah. And, you know, and Crybaby like forms a bond with some black drapes in jail. Mm-hmm. It's you know, there's no drape racism in there. The only like tension really is like, this is a class movie. It's a war of the classes, the Drapes and the Squares. Right. Pretty simple. Like Grease is like, this is teen problems. This is like class problems in Baltimore, which is such a John Waters thing.
Yeah.
But done through his style of camp, of just like exaggerated theatrical performances of like Allison said, like, I'm tired of being good. And,
as Crybaby's being dragged away to his paddy wagon, he's just
like, oh, I'm burning inside to touch you. Yeah.
I looked over at Brittany and she's like, he gets it.
Exactly. And it doesn't come off as like stupid.
No.
It's so consistently that.
That is a great word for it, consistently. Because I was taking a shower earlier and I was like, if I had a chance to ask John Waters one question, it would be this. Like, what do you do to get such consistent performances across different actors, across different movies? Because they all have that melodramatic, theatrical delivery of their lines that makes it a John Waters movie. You know, it's how Divine was in the earlier films, and it's so consistent across the board throughout his entire filmography. What does he say to these people to get them there? You know,
right? I think he's just probably like the best hang ever. You know, like a lot of people have a fear of like, oh, I'm afraid of being boring and being a bad friend. He's consistently just like, I just love. Everyone's just like, I love John, love being around John. We go over to his house. We have a good time. Yeah. We made a movie. Didn't feel like work. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Like Ricky Lake was like, oh, I love coming back for Crybaby. It was like summer vacation, you know? So he probably just has that knack to build a trusting relationship that if he's like, all right, I'm going to need you to go to like 20. Yeah. And I'm like, got it. or like they trust that it's not going to come off bad or they're going to have to keep reworking it or something like that.
Right. Because, you know, from my understanding of like how people generally work with their actors, how directors generally work with their actors, you show them where you want to go and then you leave it up to the actor of how to get there. Right. Essentially.
Right.
But the characterizations of all of his characters, they're all unique characters, but they all have they kind of exist in their own universe of like, again, we're going to say everything to fucking 15, you know? Mm-hmm. And for actors, especially like big actors, like, you know, Johnny Depp, it was his first, you know, starring role, but
like he had enough fame from 21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
Where I forget her name already, sorry. Allison was like nervous around him and she had to like kiss him. She basically said he taught her how to kiss.
So to have like these big actors with these egos come in and go like, you know what, I'm going to follow the John Waters method and totally let him drive me, you know, without being like, I'm going to sound fucking goofy, John, you know, like how does he get them there? That's a mystery that like will always, maybe I don't even want to know at this point, you know, but like I am so enamored with his ability to get that consistency.
Yeah, I would want him to like maybe whisper something in my ear that no one else hears and I go, oh, interesting.
Yeah. Is he just like, he has this one like movie that he, you know, everyone he casts in his movie, he's like, you got to watch this, you know, and right. Be this, you know?
So it's so funny because listening to the director's commentary, I don't hear him talk about that. That is like
I've
a common
never
thing.
heard him talk about it.
Yeah. You know what he did this time? And I don't know if he did this all the time, but on this one specifically, he was asking everyone, all right, so have you been to jail? Have you gotten arrested? And everyone would like share their stories of being arrested. And there was like surprisingly a lot of people that got arrested. And it turns out I knew so little about this movie until the commentary. And this is why John Waters is an excellent audio commentary, because he just delivers so much information and is so charismatic about it. I don't feel like a word is wasted.
Right.
When he's speaking. And I'm learning about like how Tracy Lords, like her history leading up to this, it's crazy. It's nuts. Like if we get into the reality of that, which I don't want to because I don't want to bring the mood down, it's rough.
Yeah.
It's rough. And then we have, oh my God, Patricia Hearst, Patty Hearst, which maybe people who grew up in the 70s would like know immediately. I didn't. I see her as Tracy Lord's mom in Crybaby of like, all right, kids, now cross the street, look both ways, and like, Mona, we're gonna have your favorite tonight.
Yeah.
Au gratin potatoes, you know. But she was like, I'm gonna get into the reality a little bit of her, a little bit, even though I'm gonna avoid the Tracy Lords part of, because that actually makes me pretty sad. But this is also pretty sad. Is she got kidnapped when she was 19? Do you know about?
I know.
Patty Hearst. Oh my God, she was kidnapped when she was 19 by like this like super like left wing group like called the SLA. I forget what the acronym stands for, but they kidnapped her and then they like forced her to rob a bank.
Oh, wow.
And she got arrested for that. And she was like gonna go to jail for like a long time, but then got like a lighter sentence somehow. I forget how. I think it was like Jimmy Carter had some kind of say in it to get her out of jail. But like there was still like federal like attention paid to her. So like while she's shooting this movie, this is only like 10, 12 years after that. Crazy. And it wasn't until 2001 where Bill Clinton pardoned her, like fully pardoned her on his last day in office.
Damn.
But yeah, like she had like this whole tragic story. So when people were going around saying they're like, oh, here's my jail story, blah, blah, blah. Here's my time confronting the law or whatever.
Yeah. She's like, here's my very public
Yeah.
story about.
Tracy Lords was like, yeah. And then Patricia told me like, oh, I got kidnapped, but it's a long story. And that's the context I heard in the like in the documentary. And then I looked it up. I'm like, oh my God, was she underselling it?
Yeah.
Was she underselling it? But Tracy Lord said that like everyone sharing their stories like that really made her comfortable.
Yeah.
Because she was going through so much or was like still on the outs of getting out of the adult entertainment business.
I may be wrong. I could be wrong. But I think Tracy Lords, she was exploited.
Yeah.
But she was able to fucking sue the shit out of those people, and I think she made out with some recompense in the end, right?
Yeah, like in the end, probably.
Yeah.
And this is not me like blaming her whatsoever.
Yeah.
For what happened to her, but like she did steal someone's like birth certificate and like identity to like pass off as 18.
Right.
So like, don't do that kind of thing. But like that's like where like I'm like, no, you probably shouldn't have done that, Tracy.
Right.
But everything else is like, oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's rough.
She's excellent in this movie though.
Yeah, and John Waters is like totally in love with like the energy that she brought and like the seriousness and being dedicated to it. And he like loves to call out the little moments like when that guy, I think his name is Tojo, where he's like taking pictures of people and he's like, come on, you got the assets.
You want to be a nudie cutie?
Yeah. And we get that shot of Tracy Lords being like, buzz off, creep. You know,
Yeah.
he's like, that's her getting back at like the adult entertainment industry.
Yeah.
She's got a book coming out. You should read it. You know? He's always plugging a book that he's read.
Yeah.
But let's talk about some like standout scenes from Cry Baby. If you've never seen it, if you're still on the fence about seeing it, it's a beautiful, lovely, like just goofy ass time. I still can't believe this is like a studio movie. It's a $12 million John Waters movie at the end of the day, where they're yelling. They're not yelling. They're
yelling.
they're yelling. No, they're camp not because they can't afford the equipment anymore.
Yeah.
Like they didn't have to like yell to be heard on the shitty mics.
Yeah.
They're yelling to make a statement now. And I love the introduction of the Ricketts, of Ramona and Belvedere Ricketts. Like they're like pseudo paternal figures. And you know, Belvedere Ricketts is Iggy Pop, and I forget the other woman's name, but I have her listed here, Susan Tyrrell.
Like Iggy Pop is rock royalty, right? But those characters are kind of treated like filth royalty in that movie. You know, that's how it feels.
Yeah, they've got like they're drape royalty.
Yeah.
And the drapes, you know, Crybaby, Pepper, Milton, Hatchet, Mona, they all look up to her. And wait, is it Mona? Is that Tracy Lords' name? Wanda. So yeah, they all look up to her, And I love this scene where the Ricketts bring the Drapes all into their commode, their abode.
It's like
the
a clubhouse almost, yeah.
Not the toilet, their abode. They bring the Drapes into their abode, and they're like, "Hey, like it's our 10th anniversary together." And they're like, "Woo!" Yeah. And like, "Oh, we just want to tell y'all how proud we are of you." And it's such a like sweet moment, but it is sweet in the way that John Waters is sweet.
Yeah.
And of like calling out all these like quirks of these characters that like the squares would hold against them or shame them for in public. They're like, "Milton, you're everything a man should be. Young, stupid, and mean." He's like, "I can't wait to play a song for you." And then she pivots over to Hatchet, and she's like, "Hatchet, you're just like me. Now you put the tea in tough so hard you could eat nails for breakfast." Hatchet's like, "I kick a square's ass for you in a minute, Miss Ricketts." And
doesn't Ricky Lake say something like, "I'm so happy I'm knocked up"?
Yes, yes. "I'm so happy I'm all knocked up. I wish I was having triplets." You know, she's taking those. She's very much embodying the John Waters spirit of like, take that thing that someone could hold against you, and embrace it.
Yeah.
Because then they can't do that anything. They can't use it against you. They can't weaponize your spirit, you know. And then we get to Crybaby, and he gets the motorcycle. She's like, "This costs a lot of hubcaps," you know. Yeah. And then the way his face lights up, and he goes over to it, and he's like, "You've made me the happiest juvenile delinquent in Baltimore." And guess what? Revs up the bike. "I met a girl." I get a kick out of that scene.
That's, you know, in addition to like the consistency of the performances, to me, like another thing that makes John Waters' characters and John Waters' performances is kind of what we said in our Hairspray episode. Is like all of the characters are so unashamed of who they are, right? They are they're proud of who they are. They're proud of their misgivings, you know what I mean? And they're just unabashedly themselves, you know, and you get that really well in this movie because the side characters are so well crafted as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I do like that how the Crybaby girls, right, like Pepper and all them they've got an edge to them, but they're not like mean in the way the squares are. Like to Allison. Yeah. Like I love when Allison meets the Crybaby girls. Because like Crybaby's very sincere. Like he's nice to her. He's not just out to like to get laid with her. He's like, I love her. And he's like, "I'm gonna introduce you to the family. We're gonna go down to the jukebox jamboree or whatever." And he's like, "Here's the Crybaby girls," and he's introducing them. And Wanda says something to her like, "Oh yeah, like can't imagine being a square down over here," or whatever. And then Hatchet's like, "What? Don't you got tits? Like stick them out," or something like that. And he's like, "Hatchet don't mean nothing by that." And then Pepper says some crap, and he's like, "Oh, Pepper can fight as tough as any man," or something like that. And then the girls like embrace Allison, and Pepper's like, "Yeah, let's give Allison here a bad girl beauty makeover. You game?" And she's like, "Sure." And she like walks over and she does like a little pout. She's like, "Think I got what it takes?" And they go, "Whoa!" And like Crybaby gives her like one of my favorite lines, and John Waters says it's like one of his favorite lines too, is, "You got it, Allison. You got it raw." And it's just like, that's the only way you can read that line. You can't read that line straight.
Yeah.
You have to read that line the way it would be in a John Waters movie. And that's why it's so perfect, is because it's like hard to define, but you know it when you see it.
Right. Yeah. It's got a lot of the same kind of feeling of Wild at Heart, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
And
same year.
How really?
Yeah.
Big year for Willem Dafoe. And how just like fucking passionate everyone is about every single thing that they say, you know, especially Crybaby.
So I could talk about like every scene in this movie because they all make me laugh hysterically. But we'll talk about the musical numbers in here to kind of tie it back into what you were saying about Grease and about how there's like Paramount numbers where it kind of takes place adjacent to reality or the reality of the movie to give us insight into like what the characters are thinking at the time. But in a way, those numbers kind of stop the forward momentum of the plot to focus on characters, where in Crybaby, the musical numbers do both. They serve a dual purpose of character insight, but also not stopping the plot dead in its tracks to show off, really.
Right. Like their musical sequences are happening in the reality of the story, right?
In the way that a musical can
be.
Yes. And is not heightened so beyond reality.
Yeah. But there's even some numbers where he's actually playing music, right? Like he's performing songs. But then you do have the times when they are kind of like expressing, you know, whatever they are going through, you know, emotionally too.
Yeah. Like all of the Squares songs are very much in reality.
Yeah.
Pretty boring, like doo-wops. In comparison, like they're still good songs, but I think John Waters specifically chose these like renditions of them to be like, oh, these are the white versions of these like more popular like black songs at the time,
right?
And they were like stripped of all of their energy and their oomph, but they were chart toppers because it's the 50s,
right?
You know,
right?
And then we have the still accurate songs of the time of like King Crybaby. That's just a jam of like, my cigarette before I could learn how to walk, kind of jam. And, you know, it's full of energy. It's period accurate, but we're getting, you know, insight to, Crybaby expressing his emotions for Allison and like wanting her to be on stage with him and like choosing the drape lifestyle over the square lifestyle. And she even like starts off singing that number in a specific way. John Waters said like, I wanted her to sing that first part as a square and it's kind of boring. And she's like, nah, nah, nah. And then she grabs the mic and everyone's like, yeah, they like explode in excitement because she's like, yeah, that's the drape style right there. Just like, let it go. Like get loose. So it's,
and then she goes full drape in that one where she's like singing outside the jail, right? And she's just got this like full red get up.
Yeah, that's after she's already had like her kind of falling out because she believes that Crybaby has chosen Lenora, that woman who keeps throwing herself at Crybaby. And I love that scene. We're not going to talk about the scene, but I love that stuff. But yeah, she has the Please Mr. Jailer. Yeah, is the song, is the number you're talking about. And she's like on the hood of like that hot rod. Please, Mr. Jailer, let my man go, or whatever. And you could be like, okay, is that really happening? But like in the reality of the movie, yeah, everyone's listening. The judge is listening. He's peeking out through the window and he's like, yeah, all right. And he's like kind of making eyes at Allison's grandmother. And she's giving him back. She's like, oh, yeah. What's up?
He calls her a very beautiful woman.
Very beautiful woman. That's the only reason why Allison's not going to jail. I kind of like their dynamic. It's so silly. But yeah. But that is so heightened that she's just like screaming this, not screaming, but, you know,
she's belting
it out on the top of this hot rod to the jailhouse. Like, please, Mr. Jailer, let my man go. And then, you know, all the guys in jail waiting to get their hair cut are like bouncing along to it too. And then Crybaby finally like breaks free of the line and grabs onto the bars and screams back out and like, yeah, I forgot what he says here, but he joins in on the number. And then they all like rush into the visiting area. And I love that scene too, because they're all like up against the glass and like picking up the phone and being like, whoa, yeah. And he's like licking the glass and stuff. It's just like, John is just like given the craziest direction to how they should all be performing that number.
They're driven by the passion between these two people. You know?
Yeah. The jail's not going to hold them back.
Yeah.
Even the glass isn't going to hold them back because they bust through that thing, and it happens. And it's like they bust through the glass, and then Crybaby steps forward and like passionately embraces Allison, and the judge has just arrived, and he's just kind of like they don't show it, but we cut to him releasing Crybaby. So like in the reality of the movie, he saw that and was like, yeah, sick. You know? Yeah. Cool, let's let him go.
The musical number drove the plot forward physically. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's constantly happening even with like the more this could be considered like maybe like a Paramount number, like you were saying, is the Teardrops Are Falling song, which is one he sings on his like first night in jail.
Yeah.
With all the other the guys that he's like locked up with at the time.
After Willem Dafoe has his like, what does he say?
He's like God bless
God bless Eisenhower.
Dwight Eisenhower. God bless the juvenile delinquency or something like that. God bless the penitentiary.
God bless Richard M. Nixon. Good night, fellas.
Crazy good cameo. One scene chews up the scenery and leaves from Willem Dafoe there. And then like the last like big number really is the High School Hellcats, which is the song that they sing while they're doing the chicken number, which is really like the showdown between Crybaby and Baldwin to be like, all right, Allison's gonna choose one of us and we're gonna play chicken. And I love that the judge is like, is that legal? I'm like, dude, you should know. But that's High School Hellcats is like that other 2 of 3 songs that were chosen by that music producer that was like, yes, I'm going to be part of this because of how much detail and accuracy John had for Hairspray, for the music in Hairspray. But the point I'm trying to make is that they all both serve the plot and the character, never like a show-stopping number, so that might kind of feel a little weird for like your more traditional musical number, where sometimes the plot just takes a back seat just to show off this number, really have like that's why they call it like a literal showstopper. It stops the show to display, to put this song on display and put these characters in the spotlight for a bit. But no, this one just goes along with it. It cruises. It's like a brisk like 85-minute movie, something like that.
Yeah, I was actually surprised it ended where it did.
With everyone crying their little single tear.
So we've got these 2 movies that are, they're musicals set in the 50s, and they're kind of teen problem movies, and they approach the kind of greaser archetype a little differently, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas my take on it was Grease is about conformity. you know, I think, less conformity and more just like compromise, right? You kind of change who you are to be with, a person that you love. You get a little bit of the same in Crybaby, right? But it's almost like Allison is like enthusiastic about being a drape rather than
and I think that's kind of embodying John Waters' outlook of those fear tactics that the adults in the 50s like were trying to use to control teenagers at the time were silly. They're like, like you'll get mono from the water fountains or whatever like that. And he's like, I avoided water fountains because of that. Like it worked. Those scare tactics worked on me as a kid. And he's like, but he heard about like these drapes like going around stealing cars and like that. And he's like, and I would have, but I was never invited. He's like, can you imagine me? He's like, I couldn't with my skill set. He's like, thank God LSD was invented or something like that. But I think his outlook on this, or like the thing he wants to say with Crybaby really is like celebrate the aesthetics and the music of that time, but then also kind of like be like, it's all silly. It's like a silly charade of like all these like Squares really cared about at the end of the day was like manners. Like you can talk a different way, you can live your life however, but like as long as you're polite, like that's what they really cared about. Like that's what like Allison's grandmother kind of stands in for, because she starts off so anti like Drape, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, these kids from the other side of the track. But like whenever Crybaby is picking up Allison and like talks to her, he's very polite and respectful. He's like, I'm sorry about like the way I was earlier, but I just really love your granddaughter. And it's like, yes, I got her into trouble, but I swear we was just dancing, kind of thing. We were just playing music, and I'll go to jail, so she doesn't have to,
Yeah.
And she's kind of like won over by him, and kind of wants to gently push Allison in the other direction than when she initially starts out as like being like, Square's the way to be, the 4 B's, like beauty, breeding, and bounty. I forget what the other one is, but that's like another real thing from John Waters' life. He said like his grandmother used to say that, and they used to just get a kick out of that. But he's kind of like, that was all silly stuff, right? Because at the end of the day, it's window dressing. Like the Drapes might look a certain way, but they've got good hearts. They're good people. They care about each other. They want to like be there for each other when
that's what I was gonna say. They're more authentic, right? Like Crybaby doesn't have to pretend to be someone else or pretend to be tougher than he is. He like wears his heart on his sleeve for Allison, right? He doesn't give a shit what his friends think, but thankfully they're all just like, yeah, invite her over,
Yeah. They're like, we're going to razz her a little bit, but we're going to immediately want to like bring her into the circle. Like, you want a bad girl makeover?
Yeah.
They like her a lot more than Lenora. They're like, Lenora kick rocks.
It's just, my brother wouldn't touch it as long as with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah. Like, Crybaby likes a bad girl, not a cheap girl. So there is something to admire in them, even though like on their face they're like hicks. They're just like leather clad, rolling in the dirt hicks, like with Pepper's got like 2 kids and like a couple more on the way, out of wedlock. Woo, the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
But like even at the end during the chicken scene, when she's giving birth in the car and the baby comes out and she looks back. Yeah, she looks back. She looks back at the car and that guy's like, "Marry me, Pepper." Got the sign and she's like, "Yeah." And they're like, "All right." He high fives the 2 kids and it's like sweet. Mm-hmm. It's very wholesome. Whereas like the right side, the right people, the Squares, are just like judgmental little assholes and like so superficial. Like sure they dress nice, but it is they are putting on the facade. They are pretending to be something they're not, which is mean-spirited little assholes.
Yeah. The Squares are mad at the Drapes for having a good time. Essentially. Yeah. And I think that matches John Waters' kind of outlook on life a little bit. Is like the Squares in real life, they only are trying to oppress people because they're being who they are,
or being a little too loud.
Yeah.
Being a little too rude. Mm-hmm. Like if only they were nicer.
Right. That's it's the age old kind of like problem with like conservatism, right? It's like, what is this group doing to you, right? That is affecting you so badly. They're just living their fucking life, dude. Yeah. Like, why do you have to come in here and fuck their day up, right?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Whereas like, yeah, they're just having a good time living their own life, but then you have like that really like insidious drop of Baldwin being like, yeah, my granddaddy's the one who killed your father, who like put him in the electric chair. It's like, holy crap, that's evil. That is straight up evil. But you know, they've got nice teeth and nice hair and nicer cars.
So fall on the 4 Bs.
Yeah, they're following the 4 Bs. But yeah, I think that's really like the outlook of Crybaby. And in a way that's like a lot more poignant and a little more real than like Grease, which is just kind of like the teenage problems.
Grease is a fantasy of the 50s. You know, it's idealized. It's not real. You know, I think even in Roger Ebert's review again, he goes, I don't know if I knew a lot of 16-year-old girls in high school who were like Rizzo.
No.
So, you know, it's Hollywood, you know, whereas Crybaby, even though it was John Waters' only Hollywood movie, is still very very based in you know, John Waters' worldview, you know. And that, folks, is going to do it for another double feature. The movies again being Grease and Crybaby, 2 certified bangers.
Check them out.
Question for you listeners: are you subscribed? If you answered yes, then great job. You're our favorite.
Woo!
For everyone else, you too can become our favorite.
It's not too late.
All you got to do is follow the podcast on your platform of choice and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's that easy.
It really is.
Just those 2 things, and that's it. You're on the pulse, and you know right away when new episodes are available. Thanks for listening to PhantasmaCast. We'll see you at the next showing. Bye now.
Bye.